Hello. Once again I come before you as a representative of the Illuminati. You may call me the Man. Before I get started, I would like to answer a question from our Anunaki viewers. Yes, we got your message, and no, we are not trying to relive the 60s, I promise. I understand why you would think so. I mean, the parallels are actually very striking. They converted from black and white television to color, and we just got through converting from analog to digital, and of course we're involved in a war that seems to go on forever, and yeah, there's a lot of protests going on, you know, back then with the peace love crowd, and this of course with the Occupy crowd, and unfortunately racial tensions are at an all-time high thanks to some events that happened in Florida, and yeah, even the Beatles, Generation 2 coming about, or maybe. No, we're really not trying to relive the 60s, and I want you to know that I lived through the 60s, so I would let you know the truth there. We don't want to go back to that. I'm much older than I appear. However, if things do degrade to that point, don't worry, we do have a backup plan. Disco. We released it back in the 60s, it worked great, we got straight to the 80s, and we're willing to do that again. So I hope that answers your question. Now, on to our viewers. I asked you guys to send in questions that you had, and one of you sent me a question about extraterrestrials. So I thought I'd take the time to talk about them. Now, I know in the previous video I did reptilians, and the reptilians are not really extraterrestrial. They're just pan-dimensional. They have an Earth that they're from, and they're just not our Earth. It's not in our dimension. However, they couldn't exactly be called extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial beings are, of course, beings from somewhere besides Earth, but located in our dimension. So there are currently 4 different kinds of extraterrestrials that work on this planet. One, of course, is the Anunnaki, our friends that are currently sitting on the other side of the moon, monitoring all our broadcasts and history from the last 5,000 years in an effort to size up the human population and see if it's worthy of living beyond December 21st, 2012. Now, those guys are great. We love those guys, and I'm sure they are wonderful, warm people who would not exterminate an entire population on a planet because some people just aren't nice enough to their neighbors. No, 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 those guys wouldn't do that, I'm sure. And the second group that we have working are, of course, the Pleadians. Now, the Pleadians are aliens from the Pleiades. They are this, you know, little section in the sky there, the Pleiades. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. Now, they're originally actually not from the Pleiades. They were in another galaxy, but they were at a war with a species of silicone-based life form, and things didn't go well for them, so they had to kind of branch out, and very quickly. When they got to the Pleiades, they found technology from a race that was much older than they were, and they were able to use that technology to win their war and kick those silicone-based life forms back to the Stone Age. Because the silicone stone, too. Anyway, so from there they just kind of branched out into the universe, and they're currently also working right here on Earth in Australia. I don't know why they're in Australia. I think the last time I asked them, they said something about trying to find the rainbow serpent while they're on walkabout. But, you know, when they got that kind of material and firepower, you just don't ask too many questions. The third group is the gray aliens. Now, these are the aliens that almost everybody's familiar with. These are the guys that are supposed to come along, you know, and kidnap people, and, you know, supposed to have crashed in Roswell in 1945. Now, these gray aliens are not really a species. Every single gray alien is, in fact, a clone from an original gray alien who was about 3 million years ago a biologist in a far distant galaxy, and his job was to kind of categorize all bacteriological life in the universe. Well, he didn't think he'd be able to live that long, so he created a whole bunch of clones, and they in turn created a whole bunch of clones, and so on and so forth. The grays that you see today are a combination of organic and inorganic material, and they're basically just following programming. There's not a lot of original thought there. What they do is they occasionally do kidnap the lone hiker, or, you know, the couple on a country road in their car, and probe them. But they're not trying to hurt you. They really aren't. They're trying to take samples of the bacteriological material that lives in your bowel. At least it's better than what they do to the cows. I mean, they just rip them open and take their stomachs. So we got to be pretty happy about that. But it's hard to negotiate with these guys because they're basically just following programming. They're not really, you know, original thinkers. And they didn't really crash in Roswell in 1945. However, they did crash in Los Angeles in 1930-something and started the movie business, many of which are still in the movie business, have moved on to broadcast TV. They're not really original thinkers. Anyway, and so that's the third species. Now the fourth species, we don't mention them because they just cause nothing but trouble when you mention their names. They're from a planetary system that we all know. The first part of that name is a bug, and the second part is what you get when you squeeze fruit. Don't say it. Especially don't say it 3 times. Tim Burton actually made a movie about one of those guys some time ago. We don't talk about them. Now there is another species that has amassed an armada on the other side of Pluto, and so we're currently monitoring that situation. They have informed us that they're just gathering things all together so they can go off and fight a war with somebody else, and they're not really going to interfere with us at all. And so, you know, we have it from good authority, the Anunnaki, that that's in fact what's going to happen. But don't you worry, because the Illuminati, we have a backup plan. Just in case they're lying to us, they start moving into our territory. Boom! See, we wired Pluto to explode and shred them all to pieces, I'm sure. That's why we had Pluto downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet, because we want people to forget about it, just in case it's no longer there in the future. So I hope that answers all your questions. If you have any more, just make sure you write them in the comments section below, or send them to us on the message. And if you see videos that strike a question within you, and you'd like to send them to us so we can monitor those videos and tell you the truth about what's going on behind them, well, just feel free. And in the meantime, while the Anunnaki audit's going on, you want to be nice to your neighbor just a little bit more. That's fine. And when you see those chemtrails in the sky, don't worry about them. Just relax and breathe deeply.